Good afternoon, card fighters, and welcome back to the Prime Vanguard channel. In today's video, I'll be introducing a new episode to my What a Deck Needs to Be Competitive series, featuring one of my favorite Stoichia units, Granfia. Now, Granfia was introduced to us all the way back in set 9 of Dragon Tree Invasion, and in the past 2 years since its release, has had very little to no competitive success at all. Despite receiving a few promos, some shared powerful generic support, Granfia unfortunately has remained in the F tier for a very long time compared to its other Stoichia counterparts. But I want to analyze why are we stuck in this situation? Why is a deck that has all the tools needed to be successful not? Now, as we move into set 7, the Moonfang and Cerulean Blaze set, with Artisaria, Bob Sargra, and Vice Ruger joining the meta, I want to take a look at all the things Granfia needs to become competitive so that one day we can see it from F tier to top tier. Now, while you're watching this video, if you enjoy seeing content like this, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you are always up to date on my newest videos coming out. Granfia's ride line is horrible for its play style. It doesn't contribute any sort of advantage or even resources to what Granfia wants to do. Instead, it expects you to have the pieces needed prior to reaching your grade 3 turn and just hold on to them. Suzerain giving you a plant token on the grade 2 turn so that the grade 2 Granfia allows you to ride up for free is not strong enough in the current meta. We need a ride line that has the ability to generate us some sort of card advantage or at least units onto the board, and then if we fail at whatever conditions those meet, give us plant tokens in place of that. This way, when we go to the Noblesse Rose token, we've already generated pieces onto the board without committing cards from our hand outside of riding up. A great example of a ride line I think the next Granfia one should take inspiration from is from Neo Nectar's Graduary Dragon ride line. This is a ride chain deck that focuses on using the grade 1 and grade 2's on-place Vanguard abilities to search out the corresponding grade 2 ride up. But if they fail, they generate you a plant token in their place. Granfia being able to do this would be a huge step forward in the right direction, as being able to get plant tokens whether you fail or add a new card to your hand if you're successful would be huge. A lot of our key pieces are grade 1s and grade 2 units anyway, so having the similar clause like Tranquilla and Sudios from the Keter Sanctuary ride line for Alden would be fantastic. It would just be in reverse. Instead of calling, you'd be adding things to your hand. This way, you wouldn't have to worry about losing out to any early game control matchups while holding on to those key pieces you'll need prior to your first grade 3 Granfia turn. The Noblesse Rose token is the centerpiece of your Granfia strategy. Being able to incorporate all of your plant tokens into plant gauges and stack multiple ones onto it to acquire insane amounts of power down your center column was one of the key aspects that made Granfia good when it came out. It was very plausible to have a 48k or even 63k front row attacking Vanguard, which was very unique at the time for a deck to do. However, with the introduction of waves of new control and decks having some form of gimmicky removal card put into them to fit their own corresponding strategies, the Noblesse Rose token is the most vulnerable piece of your strategy. And it's very deterring for a lot of Granfia players to want to commit resources into it because they'll consistently have to be able to make a new Noblesse, which costs soul, and then invest new pieces to getting back those plant cages that you have lost. The brand new Estacion archetype, which is a manga-based archetype coming out for Stoichia very soon, clearly learned from Granfia in this lesson. Introducing the Blast token, which essentially has a protection clause built into it, is something that the new Noblesse Rose token will need. Giving us a new Noblesse Rose token, or a new form of Granfia, which we'll discuss later, that has the protection clause built into it, would be insanely huge for this deck. That means that all the plant gauges you built into it, all the resources you put into making the Noblesse Rose token wouldn't have gone to waste. And you would always have at least your center column to rely on for a powerful attack outside of the restanding effect for Granfia. And while Bushi has tried to mitigate this issue with the brand new promo for Granfia, it's not exactly the best route to go. The promo will unfortunately take up slots from the deck from other key units that you're going to need, and then space in Granfia is just going to continue to get tighter. While it is a nice kickstart to the Noblesse Rose token, giving the protection clause effect, while also being able to give you 3 plant gauges right away to get the restand off from Granfia, it unfortunately taking up slots from other units in the deck isn't good in a deck that already is very tight for space because the amount of key units that it plays for its strategy. Granfia is an aggro deck, but it doesn't have the best card advantage key with its own strategy. Like I stated earlier for my first point, the ride line expects you to have all the pieces you need prior to going into Granfia or committing the Granfia pieces early. Things such as Darien as well as Farming Pumpkin, those units are able to get their plant token generation effect off right away as long as your Vanguard has Granfia in its name. And while this sounds good on paper, those units take up space onto the board and are vulnerable to any form of control. And then also you have to call those cards out from hand because Granfia doesn't have any sort of built-in superior card from deck outside of relying on other generic support from the Stoicheia Nation. Having a unit that could generate you plant tokens while also generating card advantage at once would be insanely fantastic for Granfia. An example of this would be the Neo Nectar Clan's Exploding Tomato, who possesses the power to retire plant tokens from your board, get power, and draw you a card, and then when you want it to, you can get rid of it to get more plant gauges to make up for the pieces that it already used. This is a self-sufficient unit that would make up for its own cost in terms of taking up those 2 plant gauges, and then will give you power as well as draw. And the best part about it is the fact that, once again, since the Noblesse Rose token can use her own gauges as cost for any of your plant or any of your retire effects from the rear guard, this would have great synergy with each other. You'd be able to commit better pieces onto the board outside of plant tokens, and you wouldn't have to worry about losing out from your Noblesse not being able to have her effect, because you'd still have the protection clause from the Noblesse from whatever piece it might be to make her work. You also get those plant tokens back, whether it be at the end of the battle or the end of the turn, for your following turn to continue to do your restand play. Getting a unit like Exploding Tomato but a Granfia variation of it for standard would be fantastic. I would prefer that this unit be like a grade 2 specifically, just so that it has more power onto it, so that this way we can, make sure we're still hitting magic numbers on top of the bonus for the Noblesse. And to make it even better, the effect would actually work a lot better if it was at the end of the battle, because assuming we don't get a new Granfia, you can use the effect to go ahead and get the draw bonus off, get rid of it, put those plant gauges back, and then swing with something else, and then have the Granfia restand that unit, because you've already got those 2 additional plant gauges back onto it. There's a lot of ideas that can go into making a Exploding Tomato variation of Granfia for rearguard support, but I think a card like this for Granfia would be a step in the right direction. Granfia came out in Dragon Tree Invasion of March 31st of 2023. It is now April 25th of 2025 at the time making this video. We are 2 years ahead of the time that Granfia came out, and it's time for a new form. Almagestar, Griffogilia, and Diabolos Vehemence Bruce have all received either powerful new forms or incredibly powerful generic support, with Almagestar taking the cake on this one, being the best deck to come out of all of these. Granfia doesn't even need much in terms of its new form. Its second effect is actually really powerful because, once again, the unique thing about Granfia is that it can change its power a lot during the battle phase based off the number of plant gauges that you give up. Now, this new Granfia just has to do a couple of key things outside of its secondary effect. The first thing, obviously, is to generate the Noblesse Rose token, but have a built-in protection for it. This way, we're not relying on that horrible promo coming out to protect our Noblesse Rose token, and it's not a fear that we have to worry about right away. Yes, we'll be getting the Noblesse Rose token later compared to Estacia and getting it on grade 2, but every deck can't be the same. So having protection effects in Noblesse while also generating her would be extremely important. The second thing it needs to do is also get an upgrade to its multi-attack play. I think that Granfia being able to give up 1 plant gauge to restand a unit while still giving it the 5k benefit would be huge. It should be up to the player how many plant gauges they want to give up to then correspond to restanding another unit and then still giving power to both of those. Imagine Granfia being able to, on attack, give up 5 plant gauges, restand a unit, give it plus 25k, but then counterblast 1 and then stand another unit and give it the same benefit. You'd be playing a 5 attack deck that would be able to give potentially 5 to 25k power to 2 units during the battle phase, which is huge, because then the deck wouldn't be vulnerable to damage triggers on your opponent's turn, or on your turn specifically, while you're doing your offensive plays. And then if we have cards like Exploding Tomato or the brand new Granfia support Fairy of Exploration Arua still viable to us, we'd have a critical gaining unit, or a unit that gives huge card advantage to us during the battle phase. And even if we don't have Exploding Tomato, we still have some of our other powerful generic support pieces like Luster Impact Dragon, you can draw your additional card, or Rosarium Fairy. You'd be able to take advantage of both those cards at once, like Leonore can do in her own build, and this would definitely improve Granfia's offense and card advantage all during the battle phase, while still taking advantage of all the key things that Granfia can do. Now, Granfia itself right now is still in a pretty bad spot. In my most recent deck profile for on how I broke Granfia, I went over a lot of things that I used to make Granfia better, and I still think that this deck has a lot of potential for it. Like I stated in this video, Granfia doesn't need much to be good outside of what I discussed, even to be competitive right now. More power, better multi-attacks, a better ride line, and I think one consistency piece that uses plant tokens that if you need to make a generic for everything will work out very well. But essentially, as long as Granfia can protect the Noblesse Rose token while being able to do more attacks, would be a huge upgrade for the deck. It would cover most of its weaknesses, you wouldn't be afraid of the control matchup anymore, and it give the deck a fighting chance against the new meta, especially against Bob Sarga and Artisvaria, who now have access to lock and full board retire. Now that is all for today's video, card fighters. Thank you so much for staying tuned throughout the entirety of it. And once again, if you enjoy seeing episodes like this, please hit that like and subscribe button. I noticed that a lot of you are not subscribed to the channel but watch my videos, and I have to say that in 2025 it does hurt my feelings. But with that being said, I will catch y'all later. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, as well as set 7 coming out this Friday at today's video timing, and enjoy the new set. With that being said, I'll catch you later. Peace.